So are you ready for some viral vitamins? If you're like me, you're always looking for every edge you can get in social media. This is a replay from a session I did at a music industry event called the NAMM Show. Viral vitamins are 8 things that we discovered looking at hundreds of thousands of videos, comparing those that did the best to those that just kind of vanished. Looking at what was viral, what was vanished was the key. So what I'm sharing with you here are the things that we saw in common with the highest performing videos out there. There are little things like vitamins that you can take, you can add to your videos to be more successful. If you're ready to go, here are your 8 viral vitamins.
Number 1 is what we call the verbal hook. Verbal hook, pretty simple. Of all the videos that we scanned through, all the top performing videos, a majority of them had a verbal hook. Someone saying on camera or off, this could be a voiceover, this is what this content is about. This is why you should watch it. And this was actually the second most common thing that we found in the 100,000 top videos that we looked at, is that they had a verbal hook. It doesn't have to be fancy, it just has to be clear. I'm gonna give you an example of a verbal hook that Samurai Guitarist did on a short, and let's see if you understand what this video is and why you might be interested in it.
Pretty much everyone uses the capo wrong.
So what do we think the video's about? An alternative way to use the capo, or how you're using the capo wrong. That was about 3 seconds. They're getting their point across in about 3 seconds. If you're interested in that topic, you're gonna stop, you're gonna watch. That's a verbal hook. Very clear, very concise. Talking to a camera is definitely the most common way to deliver that. We're gonna build on the verbal hook as we go here, but remember, that is an advantage, and if you're not doing it in your videos, think about how could you do that. The next one, number 2, is a visual hook. Visual hook really is text or something similar on screen. So for instance, you could see some just picture advantages here, just putting on screen, what is this video about? What am I about to say to you? So we'll go through a couple of examples of that to make it really clear, because how you do this also matters. I like to use examples that are not from our industry because I want to go with the biggest creators, the most viral things I can find to give you the best examples. So we're going to watch this first one here by Mr. Who's the Boss.
1 cent knife all the way to a $3,000 knife. What's the difference?
Okay, so again, you heard the verbal hook, very clear what the video is about, and B, you can see the text is going on. Every word he said, you could see in text. Think about how clear he just made why you might want to watch that video and what promise he's making to you if you watch that video. He's earning your 1 minute of time to watch the video. So let's look at another one by the same creator.
I'm going to make a phone case for $0, and then we're going to drop test it. So I cut.
Same thing. You can see the words, they're big, they're clear, reinforcing exactly what he's saying. Here's a video that we worked on with Ryan from 60 Cycle Hum. And again, let's look at how he gets across what he's saying with the help of text. The difference here, just to give you a secondary example, is the 2 I showed you before. Every single word that was being said was on screen. In this case, that would have been a little too much, so we emphasized specific words.
We put together a G and B bending Telecaster for $600. Here's how. We started.
So again, in that few seconds, could you understand why you might want to watch that video? And the text and the verbal hook, we're starting to layer these viral vitamins on top of each other, which is one of the big advantages with these viral vitamins, by the way. You could take as many as you want on every video that you make. So, and I would suggest you do. As we look at these things now visually, I want to give you a couple of clues when you're doing this, how you could do it well. Because the other thing we noticed in successful videos is they were almost always large, big text. It wasn't little teeny stuff that's hard to read. It was short, meaning they weren't putting 15 words on screen at the same time and hoping that you wanted to speed read it. That's making your audience work. Remember this, your audience is not looking at social media because they want a job. They're not there to work for you. They're on social media to be entertained, informed, something like that. If you're not doing that, they're gonna scroll right by you. And enhancing. So what I mean by that is, again, if you look at every word that we had on screen for all those examples, those words were enhancing what was being said. Now, that sometimes means it's the words being said. Sometimes it might even be adding something to what was being said to help to create kind of a clarity factor to it. Whatever way you use it, it's enhancing the clarity of the intro. which of course, again, the verbal hook and everything we talked about here does the same thing, which is tell me, why should I watch? Earn my time. So that's the visual hook. So you got a verbal hook, you got a visual hook. Let's move on to number 3, which is and this is the more subtle one. It's called eye-catching movement. Now, before I show you this one and explain it, I want to explain this was not as common in our 100,000 video research as some of the other ones I've showed you. But here's what struck me is when we went to the very top, the million view, just crazy successful videos, almost all had this. And it was hiding in plain sight. So this is one, if you haven't already discovered it, will probably be helpful and new and pretty easy. What I want you to watch before I show you this video is I want you to watch the first frame. It almost feels like the cameraman turned on the camera a little too soon. So watch what happens.
This is a $5 keyboard all the way to a $500 keyboard.
So I'm gonna show you that same thing in slow motion. So you see how he's just off camera and coming in? And I can't explain exactly why that's working, but I could tell you if you go look at the top creators out there on TikTok, Instagram, and a few of the other platforms, but YouTube a little bit, you're gonna see this. And it's because they've cracked that code and they found it. And I think it's a little bit of a voyeurism feel or something like that. It's like you're being dropped in as you're scrolling before you're supposed to. I was shocked how often I saw it. So I think as you go back home and you start to watch for these viral vitamins inside of the other content you watch, especially the most successful stuff, I think you'll start to spot this. Here's another one, and it's super simple movement, so I wanted to share it with you because I don't want you to think this is hard.
Here's 2 things socially confident people do.
All she did was in her chair, just kind of rolling in. So here it is in slow motion, just barely off camera. It's super, super subtle. How could you do that in your videos to just pull me in, help me come into your world, maybe just a split second earlier to kind of create that interest or do whatever the heck it is that this is doing that seems to be common on successful videos. So that's eye-catching movement. So easy thing, extra thing that you can try to get some more push on your videos. Next one is the curiosity gap. This is another one that I found more in advanced successful creators than I did the lucky viral hits. It's super important and it's something that comes down to planning in advance. I want you to watch this short and then I'll kind of explain what I mean by this.
Tech in the Vegas sphere is insane. Biggest screen ever built, 20 times bigger than an IMAX. But get this, the screen is actually the least impressive part of the whole thing because the most impressive part is the audio.
He starts with an interesting topic and he starts to create some curiosity, which is, I'm going to tell you about the sphere. But then he throws a little side punch in there that the important thing is about the audio, which is not what you would have expected. So what he's created is a curiosity gap. The reality is everybody's not talking about the audio in the sphere. So by him throwing that out there, you have a reason to watch the video. Your brain is made, it's kind of behaviorally programmed to not want a question unanswered. So the curiosity gap is a way you're kind of hacking into your viewers' sensibilities and make them want to watch. So opening a curiosity gap in how you create your content can be a real key to get them to want to watch. Here's another video example. I want you to see how this particular shorts creator gets you hooked with a curiosity gap or a few.
Can you cook steak in a toaster? Because I'm cooking crazy foods like popcorn, mac and cheese, and french fries. There's a lot of smoke coming out. And I have this just in case.
Is something burning?
I'm just cooking.
Let's count this up for a second. Curiosity gaps created. First thing she tells you is she's going to show you if you can cook steak in a toaster. You don't know the answer to that, probably. Maybe a few of you have tried this, but you probably don't. So that's gap number 1. Gap number 2 and 3 and 4 are about these other products, popcorn and whatever else she said. Then she mixed into that some of the talk about the smoke. She talks about the smoke. She talks about the fire extinguisher. Her dad yells down, "I smell smoke." So the other curiosity gap she just opened was, is she going to burn the house down and really make this a great video, right? So by layering those together, and this is a master shorts creator, really exceptional one. And so can you get all those things into a video? It's pretty hard, but can you get one? I think you can. So opening a curiosity gap, making someone just demanding that they have to keep watching is kind of what you're going for. Here's another curiosity gap example I think is helpful.
question. Why can't a robot just click, I'm not a robot? Turns out that the answer to that question is part of a bigger story about being human.
So again here, the very first gap she opens is about that capability, about that why can't they just click the darn square, right? So that's the first one. And then she mentions it's not about them, it's about you. Again, 2 gaps in 6 seconds, 7 seconds to give you a reason to watch and to have you be extremely clear on what you're going to get. Like many of the other examples I've given you, they're making a promise. They're promising you what the content's going to be in a clear way. And does your content do that today is a really good question. That's the curiosity gap. How can you create content with that? Number 5, our last scroll stopper is you have to create a reason to watch to the end. Now, we'll pause here for just a second and explain why. Every one of the algorithms out there you might want to win on, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, one of the most important things to them, the most important thing is how much retention time you have on your videos. If you want the algorithms to love your videos, you have to hold those people there. Remember, their business is selling ads, and their goal is to keep people on their platform for as long as possible. Your video is just part of the ecosystem that they use to do that. If your video serves their purpose, they will serve your video, they will serve you. If your video does not serve that purpose, they won't show it. You have to do things, everything in your planning, your hooking, your entire plan needs to be to get someone to start to watch a video and watch to the end. So this last, more advanced, frankly, kind of viral vitamin here is how do you get that ability to watch to the end? How do you create that demand to watch to the end? Now, I wanted to show you just some pictures because these are easy ways to do it. So remember the first video I showed you, the 1-cent knife to $5,000 knife, the gap, the reason to watch to the end is you won't know what the difference is unless you watch from the 1-cent knife to the most expensive knife. So just by creating something like that, a listicle format, you create a reason to watch to the end. So same thing with the keyboard example I showed you earlier. How much free food can I get? If I'm doing a video of how much X I can get, you're not going to know the answer until when? The end. So I've given you a reason to watch to the end. Top 10 best goals or whatever. So this is, again, a more advanced capability that we saw repeat over and over on the most successful videos from the most successful creators, which is why I wanted to make sure we kind of decoded that for you so you can figure out how can you use that in your content. So here's an example of one way we use the numeric kind of concept in keeping you kind of hooked in here. So simple concept, but you can see why you might want to watch to the end.
How low can this go? That low.
So just the content is calling out for a challenge, if you will, and you don't know the answer unless you watch to the end. So think about your planning, think about your topics, think about your ideation to find ways to give me a reason to start to watch and watch to the end and use your hook to go ahead and create some of that retention. Here's one that I did that gets you to watch to the end.
This Gibson guitar model went from flashy launch to this.
We don't actually show what the story is until the very end of the video. So we've opened a loop, we've created a curiosity, we get you to watch to the end. There's our 5 viral vitamins related to scroll stopping. So before we get to the other 3, I want to make sure you guys understand there's a reason that we started here, because if they don't stop, they will not watch.
So there you have 5 viral vitamins so far, and we got 3 left to go. Did you notice something? All 5 of those were related to the intro. All 5 of those are all about stopping the scroll. Because here's the thing, if they don't stop, they don't watch. You can't be successful. So 5 out of 8 of the viral vitamins are about the intro. Make sure that you use all 5 of those. Now let's get on to the next 3.
So we're gonna now go to a couple of viral vitamins related to retention. So remember a few minutes ago I explained the platforms, the algorithms prioritize keeping people on platform. They're gonna reward you when you do that. They're gonna penalize you when you don't. So we looked for some other ways, besides some of the things early on, some other ways that people go about keeping someone retained watching your video till the end. So number 6 is deliver the payoff at the very end. And in fact, I put this up here because what I found is many less advanced creators make this mistake, okay? What they do is they might have a good hook. Think about all the great hook examples I've already shared with you. If you do that, you kind of give me something to watch, an answer I'm waiting for, and then the next thing you do is you give me the answer, I have no reason to continue to watch. So what you want your structure to always be, you have a hook, you have progress, and then you give a payoff. So make sure that if you're asking a question, you don't answer the question until the very end. And you don't keep going with telling them who you are or elaborating on the outcome. That is going to ruin your retention. Hold me to the very end is when you let go of the secret. Don't give it away too soon. Number 7 is what I call an infinity loop. This is something that, again, we see in the more advanced creators, but it's so simple, I had to make sure you guys saw it and kind of some ideas on how you might be able to do it. Here's Jordan Wave, one of my favorite creators in our industry, and he did this video on a guitar, and I'm gonna show you just the first part of it first so we could kind of see how this infinity loop works.
This guitar has features I didn't even know I needed.
Okay, so you heard the hook. This guitar has features I didn't even know I need. So just kind of remember that was the hook. That was the beginning. Now, I'm going to go ahead and start it from closer to the end, and I want you to hear how he ends with a pretty logical ending, but it's made to where when he loops back over, it fits perfectly with the end. So you see the little green bar at the bottom? I put it there to help you see the end into the beginning.
What's also handy is this Barkus Berry LX4 preamp with a 4-band EQ for recording direct out. So after trying it out, I realized this guitar has features I didn't even know I needed.
So after trying it out, I realized would be the end if there was no loop, which is a pretty interesting ending. If you saw that and that's all you saw, you were on a platform that didn't loop, you might be curious, you might watch it again. But certainly it's easy to watch this video and not even realize that it's looped around. Now, remember I told you retention is everything to success. 100% retention is pretty good. How about 110% retention? Because that's what we just showed you. Is he looped you around, you kept watching to at least hear that last word. 110% retention is better than 100%. My math's not great, but I know that. And so get every edge that you can. There's an edge. Now, the other way that we like to do it with our editing team is we like to, because we do a lot of music-oriented stuff where we're demoing products with music. So all we do is we use a little bit of the music that's at the end, the demo from the end, as background music at the beginning, so that it kind of feels more natural. It feels more of a perfect loop. So I'll again play a little bit of this video first so you can kind of hear the beginning and listen to the very subtle music under the intro, under the hook.
Think about gear differently. Think about gear less as material objects and more about what are they gonna make you do.
So that's the beginning, and depending on how well you're hearing the speakers, you may or may not hear the music, but there's music behind there. Now, if I get to the ending here and I play the last few seconds, and again, you could see the little scrubber at the bottom.
Pick up the tools you haven't used in a while. It might bring out some things that you aren't expecting. Think about gear differently.
Had that same music that was at the end, the beginning. So if you happen to be doing videos that are oriented with music and have a degree of talking, think about how you could use the music to create that infinite loop, that reason for me to not see the end coming. You're not hinting at the end. I think if you look at a lot of your videos, you're probably telling me, hey, in about 2, 3, 10 seconds, I'm going to end this video. So the value's done. I've delivered that. You can go away now. And now I'm at 90% retention on our interested people. Then you put that in with the folks who just didn't watch at all, and your retention goes into the tank. So every little bit that you can do to keep your retention above 100% is going to help you get those averages up, get more reach, and have more success. Those were our retention drivers, infinity loop and delivering the payoff at the very end. Number 8 of our viral vitamins, I decided to go platform specific and take a second to focus on Instagram, because I know a lot of people want to succeed on Instagram. One of the things that they've been very clear about, Retention is the most important thing to them for every performance metric. Number 2, though, if you want to get reach outside of your audience, is shares per view. So when people hit that little button and share to their friends, so you've connected to where they want to send this to their friend, that is the priority for Instagram, and they've said it over and over again. So this is not a secret. This is being stated. You just have to pay attention to what the CEO says. Make shareable content. Things like memes are often very shareable. Something that shows that you get that person. If you make content for a bass player, if you say something or you do something that a bass player would want everybody to know how they feel, they're going to share that with their friends. Okay? So you're looking for something that they can connect with. Sometimes tricks and tips and hacks, sometimes really interesting news is shareable. Can you make content more shareable? And that will help you grow if Instagram is in fact a priority for you. There are 8 viral vitamins. I want to make sure that you understand you're allowed to use all 8. It's not cheating. Matter of fact, I suggest it on each and every video. So be very careful how you approach this and see how can you plan to get more out of each video.
So which was your favorite viral vitamin? Tell me in the comments. And I've got this video lined up for your next steps on learning how to get better and get every advantage at social media. Thank you.